the best labor
100%.
business out there. You have to change it every 10 to 12 years.
I sent him a podcast.
And it's so profitable.
So the largest home builder in Texas stopped building homes and opened an air conditioning business. And then somebody asked him, like, well, why don't you do plumbing and contracting? He goes, no. When I do an air conditioning, my average bill is 14 grand. You know, when I do plumbing, it's like $750. So we focus on air conditioning.
I was born in Syria, moved to New Jersey, lived in Patterson, Prospect Park, New Jersey, like 30 minutes from the city, till I was about 11. Then we moved to Florida. I've been in Florida since then, so I've been in Florida about 26 years now.
Yeah, I'm from New York.
Yeah, he mentioned
country
that.
part though, not. I'm like 8 hours from where you're at. 8 hours, like all the way, almost Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in Vermont, which is basically almost
Yeah. Just go down the Canadian border. That's where I'm at. So yeah, Vermont's beautiful. I've been skiing up there too. I love it.
Housing market.
Are you trying to get us in a fight here? What are you trying to do here?
You have your opinion. He has his opinion.
I definitely have my. I mean, you know, I'm starting to realize like everybody has their angle, right? Like one of my good friends, his wife's a realtor who did super well during the virus. You know, top salesperson in her unit and made a lot of money. They bought a $1 million house in Dade City because they were making so much money, but now like nothing.
Yeah, it's
now like nothing. So, but their perspective, and even he's a process engineer for Microsoft. He still says, no, this market is great. Things are great. And you know, and then I hear your opinion, your perspective. I watch your videos, and you know, and then I hear the other side where it's like doom and gloom, and it's like whoever's perspective is where you're at, right? Because I want to buy, so I want doom and gloom so that I can get a good deal. She wants to sell, so she wants good prices, and you know she preaches that narrative. So I don't really know where the truth is. I know what the facts that I know, but I don't really know where the truth. But you're mostly commercial real estate?
Not technically commercial, mostly downtown core, which could be single family, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, restaurant, doctor's office. I target the land. So I target the land. That's what's important to me. What's on there is less important to me because most people will buy a house and all you can do with the house is rent it as a house. That's it. But if I buy a downtown core property that is a house, I can then convert it to a doctor's office, an insurance agent's office. I can do anything else with the house. So I'm not limited by the house. So that being that the dirt is what is important to me. Right. So location, downtown core. Then that I believe over the next 15 years, downtown core is going to come back. Malls are going to die. Downtown core is going to come up. The value is going to become higher and higher. And people are going to come.
Do you think downtown core is going down?
Up.
Right now?
No.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
It's not.
I mean,
everything I own is downtown core.
We talked about it today. You drive by downtown Tampa, there is 38 cranes in the sky building shit. Right here, you look out this window, there's nothing. There's nothing. There's a new Black Dome or whatever where the concerts are. And I think that's only being built because of the massacre. You know, there's no cranes in this city. Tampa definitely. I agree with you on that, 100%.
So if you're going to ask me, Baskal, what is the national average? What's going to happen? I would say it's going to go down some. We're going into a new economy where they would say 50% are the haves and 50% have-nots. We're going to go into the 70-30. 70% are going to be the have-nots. 30% are going to be the haves. So the downtown core is my target because the upper middle class is going to move there because they're going to want a lifestyle where they can walk to downtown, have a nice place for their kids. If they don't want to have any kids, they're going to have their dogs. I have a lot of people that are in the tech industry that are working in a small 500 square foot one bedroom that I charge $2,000 a month for, that has WAPs and Cat 6 plugs that are going to work there. Then at lunch, they walk their dog to the pub, eat their sandwich. Dog gets water because the pub gives them water and snacks. Then they walk back. Then at night, they do the same thing. They walk to the water and they love this lifestyle. So I'm offering a lifestyle in my properties that is very desirable, and the people that have the money to pay for it. I'm not targeting the people who don't have the money to pay for it. Because what I learned when I was younger is when I provided something very nice to people that couldn't afford it, shocker, they couldn't pay any more for it. Even though the value was there, they just didn't have the budget. Now, when you increase rents on the upper middle class, they still complain, but they pay. And that's where I'm targeting my investment. So all of my investors, so what I do is I package like $5 million together. People put in different portions of money, and then from there we'll go buy multiple properties in different downtown cities. And downtown core is my, focus.
Gentrification.
Well, it's being gentrified, but there's already rich. When I was first buying there, when I was 20 years old, one of the properties I bought was $335,000. Today it's worth $3.5 million. So, but I still think it's going to go up even more than that, because we're going to go through a significant change. I think everybody agrees that something significant is happening here.
And what do you mean by that?
There is something going on with our society, with the government, with our financial system. Like, I am a student of finance. I come from a third world country. The American system is beautiful, and at the same time, modern finance is also disgusting. So there's blessings and curses from it, and it's breaking. It's breaking. It's not working. And when you're working on a fiat currency, which is like, debt is the money, which is the opposite of every third world country, it's unsustainable. Now, America is the best house in the bad neighborhood. So for now, we're getting all the benefits from the world. How long is that going to last? I don't know. But what I do know is if I have great properties in great locations that are surrounded by other upper middle class individuals, that neighborhood is going to be a lot more stable. A lot of my investments are in Dunedin, which is where our governor is from.
Yeah.
We're in Pinellas County, which has a very good police force. So we're in the most dense county in the state of Florida with an amazing police force that our governor is from. So I feel that overall, we're going to have a very safe and protected county from anything that goes wrong. And if there's a reset, when you reset your currency, doesn't matter if you're trading rocks. I have a property that you want. So now I'm not taking dollars from you, I'm taking rocks from you, and I'm going to get a lot of rocks, or Bitcoin, or XRP, or whatever it is, or silver bullion.
Yeah,
which I collect silver.
But
coins.
I mean, my problem with that is that if you look at the macro thesis of what you're talking about, and I agree with you, I've been studying it a lot. We've talked about, central banks have bought more gold in the last year than all of history. 1 year versus all of history. Previous to buying gold, they're buying American bonds, right? They're buying bonds as a store of value. Now they're buying gold. Why would they be buying gold? Well, yeah. So if you mix the BRICS nation, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and you mix that with the what do they call that? The Great Road Initiative by China. So China in 1949 said within 100 years we want to be the greatest country in the world, and so that's coming 2049, and that's why they have I think they call it the Brick and Road Initiative, the road and something initiative. They have built ports, they have built railways, from China all through Europe, China all through Africa. They have financed. Talk about Jamaica, right? What did they finance in Jamaica? The largest highway in the history of Jamaica. The Chinese financed. That's from Kingston all the way down to where's Dunn's River Falls? What's that town? The other side of Jamaica.
The Jamaican doesn't even know.
Come on, Stanley.
He's like, I don't go to that side of town.
You know, but so when you talk about that macro thesis of the American dollar not being the world's reserve currency, man, anything denominated in dollars, which is real estate, is going to get decimated. It's gonna, and now I know that's a far cry, like and somebody will call me a conspiracy theory, but there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. But if you look at, and this is what Stanley liked, and I'm sure Stanley mentioned it to you, right? Right. So you look at what's going on right now in Russia, right? So the backdrop to what's going on with Russia? Remember when Russia invaded Ukraine, right? It was just their war. You know, we gave them $2 billion. We tried to help them, right? What happened after that is Saudi Arabia met with Russia, so right now, you know, okay, let's get back into history. So after World War II, Bretton Woods, United States dollars became the world's reserve currency, right? A country would give us their gold, and we would give them dollars, and then they could issue their currency on our dollars. That gave demand for dollars, right? Everywhere in the world, right? August 1971, that started breaking down. France came over with a battleship into New York City Harbor and tried to get their gold back, right? So that's when our president in August 1971 said, we are no longer backed by gold, we are backed by the United States economy, right? What does that mean? Right, so that's what changed it from a real currency into a fiat currency because it's backed by nothing, right? And so 5 years later, the United States went to Saudi Arabia and said, if you trade oil for dollars, American dollars, we will protect Saudi Arabia. Remember 9/11 when all the jets flew out of 9/11? It's because we have this agreement with them. So Saudi Arabia is in charge of OPEC. All the dollars, all the energy in the world is traded in American dollars. 5 months ago, the petrodollar. 5 months ago, Saudi Arabia met with Russia and agreed that Russia would protect Saudi Arabia. They had an agreement. And right now you can see China's leader meeting with Russia, right? They're doing this whole BRICS nation thing. They're trying to undermine the dollar, right? Where the dollar, like I think a 90-something% was traded in dollars, and now it's down to 85%. And if this agreement goes through between Saudi Arabia and Russia, we're done. We're done. The American dollar, the printing press that we had during Corona is gone. And so we have no choice but to send tanks, send bombers, send airplanes, and decimate Russia. Because if we decimate Russia in this war, Saudi Arabia has no choice but to stay with us. And I believe that's what's going on in that whole process.
I want to say, one, decimating Russia is like, hasn't happened in history, ever. So
right.
Now, pushing back on Russia, yeah, I definitely see that. But one thing I want to give a different perspective of the American system. If you look not just on the dollar, but our American system, our legal structure, it is one of the only places that you can come and freely invest and truly not fear to have your stuff taken by a corrupt government.
100%.
You go to China, you have to have a Chinese person be part of your ownership of your company. A Chinese person can come to America, bring and buy American dollars, and buy as much assets as they want. That is why we call it the American dream. Because if you live in a foreign country, and if you weren't born with a silver spoon, or aren't the smartest person out there and perfected it in high school and in college and everywhere else, there is no second chance. Here, there is that chance. Why is the Chinese bringing their money here? Why are the Russians bringing their money here? Why is everyone bringing their money here? We are a very safe place to invest. So could we end up having a lot of struggle during a transition if we lose our national or our global reserve currency status? Yes. But did England, become nothing when we took over, when we went to first and they went to second?
Fair enough.
It's not that big of a deal. And two, if those individuals, if those countries, take over first place, they're still going to want to invest in America. They're still going to buy in the valued areas. So that's where, when you buy assets, that's the main point is that I'm going to want to put across, is buying assets. When you're buying assets and there is a reset or a transition, if you buy the assets and you're managing it right, you're still going to be paid for your rent. You're still going to be paid with that new currency. So when there is that reset and there's a new currency, okay, whatever you want to call it, you owe me X number of things.
Yeah, but I don't think you're measuring the magnitude that it could be decimated. I mean, look at Japan in the last 20 years, right? It's a 20-year bear market where, I mean, I remember in 2000, them saying Japan is buying up America. You remember that? Japan is buying everything in America, and Americans were like nervous about it, right?
And they are. They literally just bought
They were
100. They still are. They just bought someone that I know was doing was actually, you can invest with them. You get 12% on your money, and they were building apartment complexes that were 100% rentals. And then you can actually own a single family home or a fourplex with them throughout Florida. And a Japanese company came and spent over $100 million and bought their whole company. And they paid back all their investors.
Right, but the whole country on a whole has been in a recession for 20-something years.
Their stock market has been in a recession.
For 20-something years.
Yeah.
So let's say you're Argentina in the last year, where inflation has been 100%. That can be what's going to happen to the United States if we lose that world reserve currency.
So when I was in Vermont, I was actually hanging out with people that are from Argentina. And business owners in Argentina, real estate owners in Argentina, are still doing very well.
Because they're doing what?
Because they own the land and they're getting paid with now it's not $10, it's $100. Now it's not $100, it's $1,000. It's like
right.
What, $40,000
it's the constant
for a chicken?
But it's the constant battle of the have and have-nots, right?
Yes.
It's the 90% that have not and the 10% that have. So yes, the elite will prosper in this system, but the normal everyday people will be decimated.
Correct.
Because they don't have any savings, they don't have any assets, they don't have any
own assets.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to drill across. Own assets.
Yeah.
Right? And if you can't own a lot, own some silver coins, own some gold coins, own something that is of value.
Did he say Bitcoin?
If you believe in your cryptocurrency, own your cryptocurrency. And if you feel that is going to have that intrinsic value, they're going to be able to trade for this new liquid currency, right? Because there's the hard assets, which you're going to hold, but then there's going to be the liquid currency, which, if it's not the dollar anymore, whatever the new thing is that's coming out, the yen or ERC20, I don't know, whatever it is, So I agree with what you're saying, but my spin on it is you need to hold hard assets. So when the transition comes, everyone is going to be negatively affected and hurt in some way during the transition. But if you hold some assets, you are going to be less affected by it.
Agreed. And you're talking about holding these luxury assets, which 90-something% don't have the ability to buy.
Well, again, like a roll of silver dimes.
I watched your video on the silver and buying gold and that, and I've never told anybody to buy silver or gold. But now that I'm on researching this new thesis about the Great Reset, I'm agreeing with you. Now, I don't think that it has a functional ability to be currency in the modern world. I mean, you're not going to walk around with a brick of gold and try to buy a loaf of bread.
So let me clarify this. Silver and gold do not make you rich. It stores the wealth you have. So if you have wealth and you trade dollars for silver and gold, it isn't going to make you rich, but it's going to make you, it's your insurance policy that as the currency gets devaluated, or they trade the currency into something new, or you move into another country and you say, here, I got this brick of gold. Will you accept it and exchange me for your currency that you're using in this country? The answer is yes, no matter what country you go to. They're going to honor it, and they're going to say it has a value. So that is the point. It's not going to make you rich. That's why I don't invest all my money into silver and gold. It's just a portion of your protection. It's an insurance policy in a way. What does make you rich is assets in the sense of real estate and businesses. Those are the things that are going to make you wealthy. Stock market's not going to make you wealthy. Bonds aren't going to make you wealthy. You own businesses and you own real estate. That is the way that 99% of people become wealthy. I think Bitcoin's going to drop to 12,000. So if you're saying, Baskal, you got
10, 5.
Okay. So 10, 5, 12,000,
I think you're both crazy.
whatever. So, okay. So the point is,
I don't think he
Let's
meant
just say I
whatever
got-
to me. I think he meant whatever your thesis is, but I can argue my thesis.
so if I had 2 million and I said, you know what, like run it, like just run it up and just see what you're going to do, I'd probably wait till like mid of this year, end of this year. I think Bitcoin's going to drop below 15, and below 15, close to 12, I'll start accumulating more. And then from there, I would try to buy, I'm going to try to buy some like office space because it's unattractive in like really great areas, and try to either take owner financing or some type of leverage to buy the office space because it's so unattractive that I'm like, you know what? Doesn't matter. Take the risk. I'll take the risk and buy really great locations and convert the office space to something else, or wait until office space is in demand again. That I would buy, and I'd probably spend like, just as a little insurance policy, probably put at least 100 grand into some type of like gold or silver to have it, and I would have it physically at my house, and tangible, not paper, because there is a difference between the paper gold and silver market and the street gold and silver market, because on the street it costs you like 10 to 15% more than the paper markets to actually get it. If you want to go buy silver and gold today, it doesn't cost what the paper markets say. It costs more. That's what I would do.
So you're saying commercial real estate,
Gold
and silver.
If I had a high risk is office. So I would go high risk, deep discount. I would go for a $5 million office building and try to get it for like $2 million. Something like that. Another thing that I'm really getting it, like really I am attracted to, and I think I found a partner that I'm going to be working on doing it, is RV parks.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like addicted to figuring out square footage and like how do you maximize square footage, and that's what I think like all these. It went from commercial real estate to RV parks to storage units, right? Which
I love
became
storage units, but
stupid hot.
They're just so I used to get them at like 15% return,
Yeah.
and now they're at 5%.
Yeah,
And I'm just like,
because so many big people got involved in it, right? And then it was like flea markets, right? Flea markets are getting like $50 a square foot, and nobody wants to be involved in the flea market, but they're getting $50 a square foot on nothing. There's nothing done to them, right? It's just a slab, you know. So and then what's the next greatest thing, Yeah,
almost everything. Now that hedge funds and Wall Street has gotten into real estate, almost everything has gotten compressed. So I think over the next 10 years, it's going to be a pickers. The pickers are going to win. We have so many issues that are happening in the economy because of the way the Federal Reserve has made their decisions, and the different levers they have pulled, and then they've whipped it the other direction. It's caused too much chaos in the market. So I think it's going to be a picker's market, meaning
What do you mean by that?
meaning you can't buy the S&P 500 and say I'm good for the next 10 years. You need to figure out who is the best player in the market that's pulling real returns, and you're going to buy those stocks.
I mean,
you're going to buy those
that's
investors.
how the richest people get rich. Not diversifying by picking the greatest asset in the history of the world and following it. Whether it's Amazon or Coca-Cola or Google or whatever it is. I mean, everybody preaches diversification.
And over the next 10 years, it's going to be even. Over the next 10 years, it's really going to matter a lot, because you can't just like be a zombie company or a zombie organization and still survive. You need to perform. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to live long enough.
No. I mean, I'm a big fan of Cody Sanchez on YouTube, and she's all about buying existing businesses that are already profiting at a multiple that is lucrative for you. And she says everybody tries to create their new business or build the next greatest Facebook or whatever it is, and they always fail. 99.999 fail, right? But you can go buy a plumbing business down the road that profits $250,000 a year because the 85-year-old guy wants to retire and his son doesn't want to take over the business. And it's a hugely profitable business. And it's a dirty business, but nobody wants to get involved with them. So you can buy those at a 2x multiple, and you have operating people already in there. And that's what Ace and I are talking about. So Ace is an engineer, right? And he works for an air conditioning company, right? So
I would love to buy like 50 of them and combine them.
Yeah.
It's such, in Florida, it is the best labor
100%.
business out there. You have to change it every 10 to 12 years.
I sent him a podcast.
And it's so profitable.
So the largest home builder in Texas stopped building homes and opened an air conditioning business. And then somebody asked him, like, well, why don't you do plumbing and contracting? He goes, no. When I do an air conditioning, my average bill is $14,000. When I do plumbing, it's like $750. So we focus on air conditioning. Our
and the
SEO,
margins are so fat, because
exactly.
the actual AC units, they're like $2,000-3,000 for the mechanicals, but then you charge $7,000-8,000 on an install for half a day's work. So
and that's his specialty. So that's why we're trying to partner up to do an AC company. We're trying to figure that out right now. Yeah.
So I have my friend that owns an AC company. There might be a conversation with him to say, all right, how do you help him invest and expand his?
Exactly. So I got one of my good friends.
I'm down.
He's a process manager for Microsoft, right? So he's all about SEO. He's all about marketing. He's got the tech side down. Ace has got the operations, the engineering down. We're just looking to find the right company to partner with or to buy out, and then to 10x that company.
Millionaire, the AC company Millionaire?
Yep.
Yes.
That one just sold a little while ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it sold for a lot.
I wonder what multiple.
So this is the thing. So my strategy would be, I would buy like 10 small ones, because the smaller ones you can get, 2-year, 3-year, 4-year multiples on them. But once you become large, you become an institutional play. So what is all of the so right now, what am I moving towards? I'm moving towards institutional style investing. So what we would do is we would go and buy 5 to 10, $1 million, $2 million AC companies, and we combine them all into one company. We have, a central warehouse in Tampa. We have a central warehouse in Orlando, where we have 5 different locations from there. We own the warehouse distribution center that other AC companies also buy from us, and then we also own the small companies that will do the actual install as well. In Tampa, in Orlando, in Fort Lauderdale, in Naples, now we have the whole thing. Now we have this whole setup that we go to a institutional player that'll give us 10x on our revenue, not 2x. So we're buying everything at 2, combining together, creating the technology, building the efficiencies, and then flipping it for 500%.
That's where he comes into play because he works for a company called it was Metal Industries. But they're how much? What's your annual sales?
600 something million.
Yeah. They like that up there. They make that. They make that.
Railroads registered.
But he's got the head of sales. He's got the install guy. He's got all the guys. This is the key for that AC industry. These guys right here, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm passing the football to you, man. I want the football, but
20 something.
so he's the lead engineer for the company. I've been telling him for a long time.
We need a tall white guy to talk for us. It's okay.
Hey, listen. I know you're joking when you say that.
No, I'm
but
not joking.
100%.
I'm not joking.
It fucking works, man.
Because the thing is, like, so me, when I was 21, 22, 23, my dad would bring me when I was 8 to all the foreigner businesses, and he would talk to his friends, and I learned, okay, that's what it is. I learned it. But when you're that young and you're talking, a lot of people don't hear you. So I was like, man, I need to get like a 60-year-old white guy to just talk for me, and then I'll tell him what to say, and then and then people will listen.
I'm not 60.
Yeah.
The fuck, Stanley?
59.
The
I
fuck,
noted
man?
the exact same thing 2 hours
No,
ago.
I'm gonna tell you. Now I know.
But
listen,
the thing is also, but Indian-run tech companies are in. Coca-Cola is run by an Indian CEO,
Salon.
but most CEOs are taller than 6 foot, statistically.
I can wear high heels. I don't
The thing is, so another thing for me. So people were talking about, oh, do you want to be CEO of this and this and this and this and that? No. Do I want to own 50 different companies? No. I don't care. Like I like winning. I like planning. I'd rather be on the board of directors, pointing shots. Someone else can be the CEO. Like, I don't need to do the day-to-day stuff.
100%.
I'd rather be like Warren Buffett and read for 5-6 hours a day, and then just be like, all right, this is what I see. Because I've been very fortunate that I have a very good like vision and outlook, and things work out somewhat to the way I see. And but the point is, AC companies killing it.
Mm.
You buy 510.
Florida.
It's not going down.
Anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. More houses are being built. There's no way it's going away.
And it doesn't
100%.
matter about being built or not. The AC units are coming out are shittier and shittier, and they have, on average, probably the new systems, they probably last 10 years. So even if you sold 1,000, in 10 years you're going to sell 1,000 again, and you're going to basically sell 1,000 every 10 years with a margin that's like 50% profit.
Yeah.
So
I'm 100%. How long have we been talking about this? We've been talking about it. The guy he rides to work with, because they live in Wesley Chapel. They drive to Clearwater every day, an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Through all the horrible spots.
Why would you drive an hour and 20 minutes each way?
But the guy he rides was the national head of sales.
Why don't you literally buy something closer? You guys make enough money.
I bought my house 2 months before I joined this other company.
And listen, I'm gonna give you something maybe someone didn't tell you before. You can still move.
Clearwater is ridiculous.
What?
Pricing on property and stuff.
Clearwater's
You don't get anything for the price.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't get caught up in price. So this is the thing, all right. You have an asset that you bought for $100 and it's this big, and you bought another asset that's this big, but it's $1,000, right? It doesn't, okay, it's $1,000, but of that, 80% of it is debt. So you're making a payment. You're like, but my payment's so much bigger for this thing than that thing. Correct. But now, how much is this asset going up in value? How much is it appreciating? It's offsetting the extra money you're paying. It's like you're creating a bank account that's building up. So it's like a wash. It literally doesn't matter. But what happens is psychologically, you're like, I don't want to pay more for this. Same thing. I was going to buy a house for $330,000 5 years ago. And that's, in my mind, what I wanted to spend. then exactly what I wanted came up for sale, and I was able to negotiate it down to like $475,000. $140,000 more than I wanted to spend, but it was right behind where my mom lives. So I'm like right next to where my mom. It's her dream. 5-bed, 4-bath, 3-car garage, 3/4 of an acre in Tarpon Springs, right? North Pinellas. So you know what? So I calculated. I'm like, how much more is my monthly payment? It's like $600, $800 a month with all the extras. Okay. But how much is this property value going to go up over the next couple of years? I said, all right, well, more than 10 grand a year, the difference. It's going to be more than 10 grand a year in appreciation compared to the other asset. So yeah, I'm paying an extra 10 grand a year, but it's going to go up more than 10 grand a year. So it's really just a wash. Well, I bought it for 475 and it's worth 900 now, 5 years later. So it went up more than 10 grand a year in difference.
Yeah.
So you're going to see, where do people want to live? You want to buy where they want to live, and your home price is going to skyrocket.
Does that thesis still hold true today, though?
Even more true today, because the rich have more money consistently. So you want to know where the rich is going to live, and they're going to have more and more and more money. Because all those businesses you're going to buy, you said you want 10 businesses that make $100,000 a year minimum. You want to make $1 million a year. Is that guy going to care how much that thing costs? There's a lot of people that are not going to be half that income, a quarter of that income.
No, I get it. I get it what you're saying, but I mean, I don't see the values. I don't see the thesis of property values going up for a long time.
So we have what's called the silver tsunami.
No, your thesis about downtown, I agree with it.
Okay.
I agree with it.
But where's Clearwater?
Residential real estate.
It's still going to go up in the right markets.
So you're going to pinpoint the market and say, this market, it's going to go up.
And I did it, and I've done it for the last 20 years consistently.
Okay.
Right? I've made a few mistakes. I bought in the hood, which I thought was going to be really good cash flow, which it could be really good cash flow if you have enough labor to make sure that you can keep the properties rented and maintained. I did not have the labor, nor did I want to have that much labor to do it, so I got out of that market. So I've been able to call it, and I've been able to get it right, but then all the headache that came from it, that part of it, I was like, oh, I figured this was going to be a headache, but I didn't realize it was going to be bother me this much. I don't want to be bothered in this fashion.
I've been there. I understand.
So now, for example, I did downtown Dunedin. I bought it under $50,000 a door. They're now in downtown core almost $500,000 a door. So downtown Safety Harbor, I bought a 16 unit for $1 million, spent $1 million on reno, $6.4 million, 2019 till now. Downtown St. Pete, 2021, I bought 8 different properties. Without renovations, they went up 30%, 35%. With renovations, they're going to go up more than 200%. So I've been able to call markets, not because I'm smart, I am smart, but because it's common sense. If the money in that neighborhood increases, and what do I mean by my money? If the individual in that neighborhood gets a pay raise, or the people that are making money are moving into that neighborhood, then rents are based off of how much money, how much pay that people are making.
Well, let me ask you a question. Were these same properties affected by the Great Financial Crisis?
Some of them, yes.
So then why would your thesis be any different than them? I mean,
The
if they're affected...
is not the same. That great financial crisis is not the same problem as this problem.
What's the difference then?
So great financial crisis, at the end of the day, was one thing. The banking sector collapsed. You couldn't get a loan. You could not get a loan. That was the problem. In this economy, you can get a loan.
Well, I mean...
So who's getting hurt? It's the people who can't afford the higher interest rates.
The Fed just announced that they're going to tighten the regulations for people that want to get mortgages. So they're tightening who can get mortgages.
Uh-huh.
Mortgage rates are at an all-time low. The mortgage participation rate is lower than when the great financial crisis happened. Inventories are at 200% higher than the lows during the virus. Nobody is moving to the south anymore. I'm not saying nobody, but the trend is like slowed down. And if you look at the graph, you look at the charts, you see that the areas of the country that are being decimated. You know, Vegas, California, Austin, Texas, everybody in the South. If you look at where inventories are at an all-time high and where inventories are not increasing at all, the North is not increasing at all. Down South, everything. I think that there was the Great Migration. And then, you're from Paterson, New Jersey. I'm from New York. 50% of everybody who moved to Florida when I was living there moved back. Right?
And that happens in every cycle of the wave. The wave comes in, it waves back, and it comes back again.
So anybody who was going to move to Florida moved during the virus. And that's what made this exceptional burden, which brought in all these builders, right? You see the builders. I mean, I don't know, in Wesley Chapel, in 54, there's thousands of houses being built, and 40% cancellation rates going on right now. The variance between rentals and mortgages is the highest it's ever been in the history of the world. I don't see how we don't have this huge decline in real estate values. And I don't think that, and Dunedin's an exceptional place. I've been following, 10 years ago, somebody said, I'm going to retire in Dunedin. So from that day, I've been watching Dunedin real estate price. I'm like, I can never buy in Dunedin because it's just like fucking skyrocketing.
It doesn't
was
stop.
Incredible.
It's like,
yeah, it's incredible.
Out of the last package of the $5 million raise I did end of last year, 5 of the properties were in downtown Dunedin.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So
That's such a great town.
So let's just summarize this. If it gets shitty, I'm buying more of the properties I'm buying.
Yeah.
And if things get shitty in your industry, you're buying more of what you've been buying for because you know what it's worth. So I'm going to buy it at a discount because I know it's worth.
But I think everybody's like on pause right now. Everybody's like, what? I mean, the run on. We talked about the run on BlackRock, the run on the real estate So BlackRock bought trillions of dollars worth of real estate. When the real estate market started, so we lost like $2.3 trillion in real estate value in the last 90 days, right? And so these people who put money into BlackRock, into the REITs, were trying to pull their money out. But where's all their money? In the real estate. So they got no choice but to start selling their real estate. Do you think anybody's buying REITs right now? Fuck no, because nobody knows what the fuck's going on. Right? I think it's going down. You might think it's even. My real estate
I don't buy
agent.
REITs. I buy actual assets specific to a location.
Right.
I'm a picker.
Right. But you get what I'm saying, right? You get what I'm saying about the macro situation here. So BlackRock has to sell their properties in the REITs, which one of my employee lived in a 3-family house that Warren Buffett's subsidiary bought and doubled her rent. I mean, it was a 3-family. It wasn't a community. It was a 3-family house, and she was paying like $750 a month. They raised it to $1,500 a month. She moved to a trailer park. One of my employees, and they're forced to sell these houses now. I cannot see logically how the housing market doesn't crash. I mean, interest rates are going up. We all know interest rates are going up.
So this is the thing. The market that's going to crash is specific. What do they buy? They bought everything under $500,000. Where is everything under $500,000? Not where I want to live. Not where the upper middle class is going to live. Yeah, so there's going to be a market.
But that's not true. How much is your house worth now? How much was your house worth at the peak?
600.
600. And that's in Wesley. No, I think it really was, right?
So Wesley Chapel is going to get hurt. If it really gets down, it's going to hurt because there's also a thing that's called, so did Newport Richie, where my brother bought his house for $60,000.
Port Richie, for years after that you would drive through there and everything was like, hey, buy that for $40,000, right?
Why? Because it's not a good area to live in. It's pretty simple. It was just not a good area to live in.
Well, I think Tampa's expanding, and that was just how excited the expansion, because Newport Richey kind of did all right. Port Richey,
Well, Newport Richey also. My brother bought his house for $60,000. It was as cheap as $30,000.
but it came back, right?
Now it's at $180,000 to $200,000.
Right. But Port Richey never really,
because it's gonna come back down. My brother has holiday. Not gonna finish that. My brother has a business in there, which has amazing subs. So we're saying the same thing, but in different ways.
No, I get what you're saying. You're saying like you find the right properties.
You find the right properties.
Then you're not going to have to worry about this. Yeah,
you're not going to worry about
that.
it. Even if the house prices drop, it doesn't matter. Okay, house prices crash. Does that change rents? Usually pushes rents up. The more foreclosures, the more evictions causes more people to go into renting. So
yeah, but it also
as long
increases
as you cash
the supply
flow,
to renting.
As long as you cash flow properly, your rents keep coming in. That's what happens. People get evicted. They lose their house.
Yeah.
What happens? Storage units increase because they move this
stuff.
But
I get that previous to 2020. If you bought those houses after 2020, what do you got to? When you bought Ace's house for $600,000, now you got to charge a $3,500 a month rent if you want to rent your house out. Well, previously it was $2,500 to $2,200 a month rent.
Okay.
So the market right now, the average rental market in Tampa right now is $1,800. The average finance for a house is $2,800. That $1,000 differential makes a lot of people not want to buy a house.
And that makes a lot of people rent.
Makes a lot of people rent, right? And then you add in the whole baby boomer apocalypse that they're talking about, which that's more macro. Like, I know my parents, my mom's. I don't want to say this out loud, but my mom's probably going to pass away soon. My dad lives in a 7,000 square foot house, and he's going to sell. And there's so many baby boomers that are getting rid of their houses. And
let me clarify that.
That's a whole different topic, right?
So I actually talked to Dr. Doug Duncan, chief economist for Fannie Mae and Belize. That was 2 years ago.
Wait a minute, Fannie Mae and Belize?
Yes. So I was hanging out with Dr. Doug Duncan, chief economist for Fannie Mae. I was in Belize for 1 week, so I was hanging out with him, Robert Kiyosaki, Kim Kiyosaki, Ken McElroy. So you get to pick their brains. I'm part of an inner circle group.
Bullshit on this.
What? Did I talk to them?
No, I'm going into drink. You were with Robert Kiyosaki?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a Marine. Let me tell you.
That's why you're a speaker at this goddamn conference.
Let me tell you. He talks like a Marine. Don't let. He's a very strong character. But I love him. I love him.
That's awesome, man.
So Dr. Doug Duncan said this.
You said in Belize. I thought you said
Belize.
and Belize.
No, in Belize.
Okay.
I was in Belize so this is 2 years ago. Yeah, sure, I'll have another.
I got you, man.
So I'm in Belize 2 years ago. I'm talking to Dr. Doug Duncan, chief economist for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And we're talking and we're discussing, and he's speaking to the whole panel, right? And this is a private lunch, and they're having all these big heads, Dr. Doug Duncan, Robbie Kiyosaki, Ken McElroy. And now what we all do, that we're at the lunch, we don't say anything. And we let them ask each other questions and talk, and you're all listening. One thing that I've been doing a lot, that he said that he's been trying to push for, is to make affordability better in America and to have more Americans owning real estate. He wants to change it not from 1 to 4 family. He wants to change it 1 to 6 family.
Oh, that's nice. Nice.
So I'm about a lot of 5-plexes and 6-plexes. So that makes it easier to loan. Why? Because if you buy a 5-plex or a 6-plex, almost no one can afford it. No players get into that market. You have to go to a local bank to get financing because you can't get agency debt and you can't get Fannie Freddie debt, which is actually both the same. They're both Fannie Freddie, but they're just called different things.
Yeah.
You have to get a 20-year or 25-year term if you go to a local bank. But if you get 5 units and 6 units into Fannie Freddie deals, you can now get 30-year terms.
Yeah, that's good.
So
we talked about this, right? Yeah. My first house was a 4-family in Albany, New York. Yeah. It was I lived free. I mean, more money than I saw your advice on that. 100%.
House hacking.
The problem is like Florida doesn't have a lot of those kind of
They
houses.
do have a lot of them in the older,
Jacksonville does, and
like St. Pete. All the properties I told you I bought in St. Pete, 3-family, 4-family, 5-family properties.
yeah,
But they're in downtown core in the nice part of town, 2 blocks from the water, 5-minute bike ride to downtown. I have single-family homes coming up next to me for $1.5 million. I bought the 1920s fourplex for $800,000. We spent $400,000 to a full get reno. Everything's brand new. We're in for $1.2 million, where the single-family home next to me is $1.5.
yeah.
So what am I valued now post reno? I'm in for 1.2. It's worth for 1.6 easy.
Yeah.
I do a full cash out refi at 75% loan to value. I have no money in the deal. I own the asset with none of my own money in the deal and just collect the cash flow and let it ride up in the price.
Smart.
So now
That's what we're talking about you doing, Stanley.
OPS.
So that's what we do.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
So my investors put money in. We do the full reno. The goal is to cash out refi, pay them all off in 2 years. They get all their money back, and now we own it together with none of our money in the deal and still collecting rents and just let the asset price goes up. Plus we do cost segregations. You guys know what that is. Big tax write-offs off of your income. And now you get a tax write-off, you get passive income, you get appreciation, all in one shot. You kill 3 birds with 1 stone. With that, Dr. Doug Duncan, back to that story, he was saying that when they polled the elderly, they said they wanted to age in place. And as the years have been going on, they've actually did exactly what they said they were going to do. We're not going to an ALF. We're going to age in place. And so a lot of these homes, they're not leaving. They got a 2% interest rate mortgage or 0 because they paid it off. They get solar panels put on and they pay them off. So now they got free electric. They got their taxes that are homestead. They got no mortgage. If they sell the property and move into a condominium, the condo fees are as much as their maintenance on the property. It doesn't make any sense for them. Now they're moving in their kids and they're moving in their grandkids. All 3 generations are living in one house. The other spectrum, single family units. So what do I target? Single family in studios, single family and 2-family in downtown core. Not the 4 or 5 bedrooms where 3 generations are living in one. Which I think, even though it stinks that we're going through this economic cycle, I think net it's beneficial to our country that we're finally having the family unit come back together where grandparents, parents, and grandkids are living together and able to influence the society for the better.
So, here's the conversation that we both had. CrossFit versus powerlifting.
I'm a little biased.
So is he. He's CrossFit.
Jeremy is a fitness guru right here. Jeremy, yes, he is. Yeah, I'm like calling him, oh, hey, I'm running a couple miles. I'll call you back. I'm like,
What do? You don't do CrossFit?
I'm a powerlifter. I'm a competitive powerlifter. And we were in a CrossFit gym. We work out in a CrossFit gym. We have a small section of the gym. We do powerlifting. Most of the most successful CrossFit athletes got trained in powerlifting first. Because most people get hurt doing CrossFit because they don't know proper technique. So the people who usually do the best were originally powerlifters, or Olympic lifters. They learned the technique, they figured out how to do it right, and then from there they worked on speed and combos.
I don't know. When I did CrossFit, they taught us proper technique and everything like that. I mean, his best friend is 55 years old and a freaking beast in CrossFit. You know what? I mean, listen, I've been in sports all my life. I've never stopped playing sports. I own a semi-pro football team, played semi-pro football for 10 years. When I got here, I did CrossFit for the first time. I did it for like 2 years. I did P90X. I did Insanity. I did all those crazy workout things. And I got to tell you, man, I have never had a workout like CrossFit in my life. I mean, well, let me just say, CrossFit mirrored Insanity. If you ever did Insanity or P90X, it's just like, I mean, their whole basis was, working out, powerlifting, or even, I went to the gym for 10 years when I was playing semi-pro football, but I would do 6 reps on the bench, and then I'd sit around for 3 minutes, right? And so P90X said, no, we are going to make you bust your ass for 6 minutes, and then you take a 30-second rest. And then you go back, insanity. I don't know if you remember Sean Teagues with the Sean
class.
Teagues. Yeah.
Well, the guy who owned, I remember,
Yeah.
It's a HIIT class, basically. High intensity interval training.
Yeah.
So, the concept of CrossFit is attractive to me because it's similar to Bruce Lee's training regimen. His weightlifting training regimen. He did a full circuit.
Yeah.
So it is attractive to me. But I still feel for the least amount of energy or injury, I still feel powerlifting is the best.
Yeah, but I don't understand what the benefit would be of powerlifting versus CrossFit.
Literally
so
everything.
You can lift more versus being better in shape. I mean, I would think as a health wise, you're better off being able to run 2 miles than being able to lift 250 pounds or something like that, or squat 250 pounds or whatever the number is.
Okay. If we
I admire the sport.
Yeah.
I just think that as an overall physical, I mean, especially as an aging class, I mean,
the number one,
I'm not 60.
The number one factor of having a functional aging group, the number one factor is actual muscle mass, the amount of muscle mass you have. So powerlifting or weightlifting is the number one factor. But it is very hard to weightlift as you get older and gain muscle mass. When you're 60, 70 years old, 80 years old, it's hard to gain muscle mass. So the best benefit is actually when you're in 40s and your 50s, you gain muscle mass, and that investment, it pays dividends as you age. In addition to that, one of the biggest issues that people get as they get older is bone density. Powerlifting is people that powerlift have a higher bone density than other sports. So now you have higher bone density, you have a larger amount of muscle that's going to last you through your retirement. So when you age, you're going to age and still be functional.
But your supposition insinuates that you don't gain muscle mass and density doing CrossFit, because you do, because you're pushing your power.
Not as much.
Well,
no,
but you are
HIIT,
powerlifting, and you are doing more cardio than. I mean, powerlifting does 0 cardio, right?
So this is the thing: when you are doing, Stan, is the camera lens that does the best benefit one that does 20 different focuses, or one that does one specific focus? One specific focus. To get the best quality, you do the camera lens that has one specific focus. So when you're powerlifting or weightlifting, you're weightlifting. When you're cardio, you're cardio. Now, is CrossFit a great sport? Yes.
But you're doing both in CrossFit.
But you're not getting the benefit, the maximum benefit from either one thing. You're going to get way more benefit if you're just straight cardio, and you're going to get way more benefit if you're straight lifting. And then you do both on different days.
You talk to
but
Dr.
again,
David.
As a sport, it's nice.
If you talk to Dr. David Sinclair, who is a Harvard doctor, he says, "Yeah, what does he know?" He says, what's the number one cause of death? It's like people stop moving. People stop moving, right? So I don't see how powerlifting in your 40s is going to help an 80-year-old.
The oldest powerlifter in the country is on my team.
Well, I mean,
100 years old.
That's fantastic.
Woman.
But when you have, when you see somebody do this, to get out of they're close to dying because they don't have the strength. And so I mean, but they're not going to be powerlifting. So I would think. I mean, I don't disagree with your premise there, but I just think as a longevity thing, and I've been studying longevity a while now, that anything that has to do with cardio and movement and you know, and it also integrates, you know, powerlifting in there. I mean, I don't know how many fucking squats we did in CrossFit, but it just seems to be way better of an overall, you know, better athletic and longevity solution to everybody. I mean, my mom can't get out of a chair right now.
That's tough.
You know, yeah, it sucks. And so, but I mean, you know, powerlifting's cool. I mean, to show your friends how much you can lift, but go run 3 miles with a sack on your back and then do 100 burpees and then do, you know, 28 pull-ups times 3, you know, which is called the whatever workout. And then you're like, holy, you know, I looked at some of these people like they're in his best friend. Man, and he's 50. I don't even know how old he is now. He was older than me then. He's got 50. Oh, man, he is in incredible shape, man. Mike, we're talking about.
One day you'll meet my coach. He's 64, weighs 154 pounds, deadlifts like 600.
That's
His
crazy.
total bench squat deadlift at the last competition was 1,540 pounds. At 64, natural.
You think you can beat me in wrestling?
Wrestling? He was a state champion.
No, you.
Me?
Yeah.
Can I beat you in wrestling?
Right here.
No, I'm kind of tall. I mean, I got the length.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
He's been powerlifting.
I know, right? He scares the shit out of me.
He's been powerlifting. You guys just done lower center of gravity. Your height.
That's the only reason I would say that to him.
he's like, but you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do the other and you can't do what. Yeah. You're like a spider monkey. I think he can take you.
She's.
Oh, thanks.
Yo, so it's 9 o'clock. Let's get something to eat because I haven't eaten yet.
Yeah, 100%.